Hello and welcome. If you like the tutorial today, please like and subscribe, it really does help. A while ago, I created this. This was just a piece of art I created in a couple of days. I didn't really think much of it at the time, but since I have received a lot of messages asking me how I created this. This has taken me by surprise, and so what I decided to do is show people how I did it. When I went back to the project, however, I'd lost all my project files. So what I'm going to do is try and recreate the best I can a similar project to this and break it down into bite-sized tutorials. With that being said, we are going to create this. Okay, so we begin this tutorial inside the MetaHuman creator. I've created this MetaHuman, as you can see, and I've made sure that I have placed a top and some buttons on this character because I may need some information on the clothing later on to help us integrate our Daz body with a MetaHuman head. And that's what we have so far. I'm now going to go back over to Unreal Engine. Here we are inside Unreal Engine 5. Now, I have a problem at the time of recording this tutorial, and that is that Quixel Bridge is not functioning correctly. So obviously, normally I would go up here, go to Quixel Bridge, I would click on MetaHumans, go to My MetaHumans, and then I would download my MetaHuman. But as you can see, I'm clicking on it and nothing is happening. I have a tutorial already on my channel with a workaround for this. If this bug has been fixed by the time you see this video, then please ignore this. But what I'm going to have to do is go to the Bridge app and manually import into the engine. I'm not going to include that in this tutorial. As I said, I already have a tutorial on my channel. So I have manually imported my MetaHuman, and let's click on the blueprint, and here she is. What we need to do now with the MetaHuman imported is go and enable some plugins. And so we go up to plugins, and we need to ensure that Daz to Unreal is enabled. You can get that from my GitHub. And also we want to make sure, in case we change the hair, that we've got the Alembic Groom Importer and Groom enabled. All the other plugins that we'll be using should be enabled when you import a MetaHuman. If you've done it manually like me, you will have to manually do the settings. Then we want to go to project settings and go to our Daz to Unreal plugin settings, which is here, and I want to click here to show FBX import dialog, just to give me more control when we import our Daz character later. With that done, I'm going to save all for now, and I'm going to move over to Daz Studio. Inside Daz Studio, I I have created the character with specific things in mind. One is the height and the weight of the character, so it doesn't look out of place when we place a metahuman head on top of the body, because that is what we're going to do. I also chose the clothing very carefully. So most of the neck is covered. If this is your first time doing this, if I could offer some advice, and that is, until you're confident in what you're doing, try like a polo neck sweater, something that covers all of the neck if possible. And this will help you with poke through and so on when we put a metahuman head on the body. The skin tone is chosen deliberately as well to try and match our metahuman skin tone. It's not always going to be perfect. I'm yet to find the way to make it perfect, so it's guesswork usually, and then I will play with material settings inside the engine just to try and get it to match. What I tend to do is mask or hide the differences in skin tone with lighting, etc. We need now to prepare our Daz character for export to the engine, knowing that we're not going to be needing this head, and so we need to make those changes now. The first thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to go to our clothing. Here we have a top, leggings and jacket, and the first thing I want to do is, usually these clothing items come with morphs. Try and choose clothing items with morphs. So with these we have these adjusters, adjust back, breasts, collar, adjust shorter to make the top shorter. I don't know if you can see that. We're working on the red top there. It makes it shorter, shows more of the stomach. And what you'll see I've increased most of these by 50% for this shirt. And the reason I've done that is just to pull it away from the body slightly, so it's slightly larger inside the engine. This will help with poke through. Obviously we don't want that. I haven't done it for the leggings. That will become clear shortly. Maybe around the hips we can just 25% around the hips. I think that's all we really need. Yeah, and that'll become clear in a moment. And then the leather jacket that goes over the top, I want that to be even further away, so I've enlarged it even further, look, by 75%. And the collar in particular, take a look at the collar. I have adjusted that to 100%. I want that to be as far away from the neck as is possible using this. And again, that is so when we put a metahuman head on, this is not colliding with the neck. There is some space around the neck. This will again help with poke through. Right, so with all our clothing selected, our skin tones done and everything adjusted, all the morphs added that we need, it is time to prepare this character using the geometry tool to export to the engine. So what we're going to do is remove the head, and then underneath these clothes I'm going to remove our torso, and underneath the bottoms I'm going to remove the legs and the feet, because we don't need them. We can't see them. There is no point for that geometry to be there. So in order to do that, we need to go up here to activate the geometry editor tool, or you can go to the menu, go to tools, geometry editor, or you can click Alt, Shift and G, and that will enable the tool. We need to make sure that our base character Rue is selected there, not the clothing. And then you can see this red circle has appeared. Right, what we need to do now is right click and go to selection mode and choose lasso selection. Now what we're going to do is draw around the parts we need to remove. So I'm going to start here at the waist. I'm actually going to zoom in so we get a more accurate result. One moment. There we go. So what I want to do is start here and get as close to the edge of this shirt as possible. Carry on all the way over here, get to the end of the sleeves, all the way around the head, back to this edge of this sleeve, to there, and then join back up where we started. And now this is YouTube, so I cannot show you what is highlighted because obviously underneath these clothes there is a naked character, and so I can't do that. So use your imagination. Under here everything is selected. You then right click on your selection and geometry visibility and hide selected polygons. Now you can delete the polygons, but I would not advise that. It takes too long. Just hide them. Then we're going to move on to the bottom half like so, and I'm going to select here close to where the bottoms end, and then just go all the way around like so. Join back up where we started, and now it's selected the legs and everything underneath these trousers. Right click, geometry visibility, hide selected polygons. Now I can zoom out, and now because I've hidden certain parts of the body, I can actually show you what's happened. So let's turn off the clothes. So turn off the top, turn off the leggings, and turn off the jacket. And there you go. This is what we have been left with. These are the visible parts of our body, and that's all there is. And so with that done, we can now export to the engine. Ensure that in the background you have Unreal Engine 5 already running. Then select your root character, sorry, the root of your character, and go up to File, Send to DAZ to Unreal. And I want to name this, because I've done this a few times, Rage-Verse version 3. And we want to choose morphs, click on arms, legs and torso under add JCMs, and that's all we need to do. We don't need to add anything for the face because we haven't got a face. Hit accept. Ensure that show FBX dialog is selected, and you know where this folder is in case you need to go back to the files that are exported. Hit accept. And this dialog box pops up. Make sure morphs is ticked and merge clothing into figure skeleton. Hit accept, and now that will export to the engine. Once it's complete, make sure you save your character obviously as a project file, and then you can close DAZ Studio. We won't be needing it for the time being. Right, and it's now importing into the engine. This dialog box will pop up because we enabled it in the project settings, and I'm going to create a skeleton for this. I'm not going to use the Genesis 8 skeleton in this particular project, I don't think. And hit import. This warning dialog pops up, don't worry about it. Go to our content drawer, and in Daz to Unreal, here is our Rage version 3. Let's click on it. And here is the body we just imported. First, I need to do some housekeeping. So let's just close this for a moment. And what I want to do is add a post process for our skeletal mesh. And because we're using our own skeleton, we need to duplicate and bring into our project the post process that comes with Daz to Unreal. So what I want you to do is click here, settings, and make sure that show plugin content is selected. And then you can come over to here, type Daz, scroll down, and under engine data, plugins, Daz to Unreal content, you will find this folder. And what we are looking for is Genesis 8 JCM post process, because we are using a Genesis 8 character. And what we want to do is then drag that over to our Rage version 3 folder, where we've just imported our character to, and copy here. And so we can go back to our folder now, and now in this folder there is a copy of that post process animation blueprint, and we want to rename this to Rage version 3 BP. Fantastic. And then we need to open up, in fact, sorry, let me just rename that PP for post process, so I don't get confused in a while. Oops. Right, and then open it up. With it opened up, go to class settings, advanced, and then target skeleton. Choose. We want to choose our Rage version 3 skeleton. There it is. Hit compile and save. Then close it. Go back and reopen it. And then on preview scene settings, make sure our preview mesh is Rage version 3. Apply, and that's it. Compile, save, close. Now we need to open up our skeletal mesh, disable our post process, scroll down, let me just, there we go, to our skeletal mesh post process animation blueprint, clear. And usually I get a crash at this point. There we go. Right here, I'm now 3 crashes in. Let me try this again. Disable the post process blueprint. Then hit save. And close, maybe. And reopen. This is ridiculous. So disable and clear. Ah, there we go. We haven't crashed. Then I'm going to save, close, open, and then add our post-process blueprint. And there we go. Finally, we have a post-process animation blueprint on our character. Obviously, at some point, those kind of bugs will hopefully be fixed and you won't have an engine crash 3 times in a row. So there we go. We've got a post-process blueprint now set up. This is our body, and we are ready to go, I believe. Maybe I just want to check one thing, and that is if we go to our click on skeleton tree here, if we go up to window, and you can enable that here in case it's not already showing. And what I want to do is I just sometimes with shoes in particular, these laces they don't animate with the character, and I want to check if that's the case here. So let me go to foot, and I'll just pose the foot somehow. Let me, like this. No, maybe the shin. Let's click on the, where's the shin? There we go. I just want to move the leg. Ah, you see? It's not animating. Now, obviously you would take this into an external program like Blender and deal with it there, reattach it, weight, paint, etc. I haven't got time for that with this tutorial. So what I'm actually going to do is go to LOD settings, and I want to find these lasers. So I think it's LOD 0. Yeah, there we go. We're looking for these sections. So for each level of detail you have, you would want to come to the sections and disable it in these sections. We've only got LOD 0 today, so let's find it. So I presume it's going to be named high tops, because that's what shoes we have. Yep, so we can hit isolate. That's the shoes. Isolate. Yep, there we go. We've got 2 of the lasers here. So all I'm going to do is right click, hit disable, and that will just simply remove it from the skeletal mesh for now. Disable it, and do the same for the other set of lasers. There we go. That's it. And so with the lasers removed, and let's just make sure there's nothing strange around the back. Nope. Okay, that's brilliant. It's time to move on. Next, we need to create an actor blueprint for our character. So inside my folder, I will right click, blueprint class, and I want to choose actor for this because we are doing a cinematic, so there's no point choosing character at this time. So animate actor, and then we want to call this Rach version 3 BP, and open that up. It may take a while the first time. Oh no, quite quick today. Right, go back to your content drawer and drag in our skeletal mesh onto default scene root. Hit compile and save. And there we go. We've dragged in our body. Now I actually want to name our skeletal mesh body. Like, oops. Give me, right. There we go. And then hit compile again and save. I want to also add some other components, but first I want to go and obtain our metahuman head to place onto this body. Okay, here we are inside the metahumans folder, and we want to open up our metahuman blueprint. Now, essentially, I'm not going to need any of these settings for now, but it's worth taking note that you may need to take some of these off. But things like dynamic material instances, we're not going to need, because we're going to be sticking to a level of detail of LOD 0. And to keep it simple, I'm not going to animate the albedos or anything like that. So we're probably not going to need any of this. No, we're not going to need any of this for now, but it is something to think about moving forward. Right, obviously we need the head, and with the head comes eyelashes, fuzz, eyebrows and hair. We don't need a mustache or beard because on this character there is none. But if you're working with a character that does have a mustache or a beard, then obviously you'd want to bring those across as well. So I will select the components I need: face, eyelashes, fuzz, eyebrows, hair. And then I want to scroll further down and just with Control held down, select LOD sync as well. Then Control C to copy as normal, and then close this, go back to our Daz character in our Daz to Unreal folder, Rach version 3, and click on that blueprint, and then highlight body by clicking on it, and then Control V to paste, and there we go. We've imported our MetaHuman head, and it should have brought most of the settings across with it. We need to go to LodSync, and body is already set up, and we need to remove some of the things that we haven't got. So we haven't got a torso, so delete that. We haven't got legs, delete that. Feet, delete that. We have hair, brows, fuzz, eyelashes. What's down here? We haven't got a mustache, so delete that. And beard, we haven't got a beard. And I think that's about it. Yep. So yeah, just ensure that body is in there, and you've named your DAZ skeletal mesh to body. And hit compile for now. I want to just lift the MetaHuman head up, so I select face. It's just so we can see it for the time being. There we go. Now, the first thing I think we're going to approach this is we're going to attach the MetaHuman head to the body. I will deal with poke through and the neck further down the line, but first thing is first. Normally in tutorials you will see them remove the face anim BP class. There's no animation blueprint on the character. I want to keep that. So come to your anim class and hit the folder icon, and it will take you to the animation blueprint inside your MetaHumans Common Face folder. And we want to duplicate that. I have one already because obviously I've had a practice run. Duplicate, and we want to name this version 3 because this is the third time I've done it. And double click and open that up. What we next need to do is we can leave all this in place, go over to our anim graph and open that up, and go to zoom in and go to cache pose here. The copy pose from mesh here, the first node, click on that, and what we need to do is untick use attached parent and copy curves, and if use mesh pose is selected, untick that as well, so we're not using any of that. And then that's all the change I'm going to make in there. Compile and save. Go back to our actor blueprint and select the animation blueprint. Here it is, face anim BP version 3 in this case. There. And then hit compile and save. We are now using that animation blueprint. The reason I did what I have just done is so when we attach this head to the body, we don't get any strange behavior and rotation, and it just makes life incredibly difficult. We want full manual control over this process. Okay, so let's attach this head to this body. Right, select our body and come over here and either double click on the thumbnail or go to the folder icon, and it will open your skeletal mesh dialog. Come up here and click on the skeleton icon and it will open up our skeleton. Right, what we need to do is add a socket. So I'm going to type head in here to find our head bone, and I simply want to right click and add socket. It's named it head socket by default. You can change the name of that over here if you want. I want it to be called head socket. So hit save and just keep this window open for a while. Drag it to one side, minimize it, put it on another screen, whatever you need to do, because we are going to come back to that, and we can close the skeletal mesh window though. Right, select our face, come here to sockets, parent socket, hit the folder icon. Oh, forgive me, one moment. Ensure, select the face, drag it on top of body and hit compile. Now it is a child of the body. I forgot that step, so make sure that, and then you can come over, hit the folder icon, and we are looking for this bone, this socket we just created, head socket. Select it, and obviously our head flies off. And let's just take a look at the head. Right, okay, so it's going to need rotating this way, but we're not going to do it here. What we're going to do is bring up our skeleton window. I'm used to doing this on 2 screens, so here we go. Okay, so with our head socket bone or socket selected, what we need to do then is come over and we need to rotate like so, 90 degrees, because it looked like it was off by 90 degrees. There we go. And so if we zoom out, the head is now rotated correctly. And then I want to go back. And now I want to move the head down. So select the head socket and move down. And as you can see, when we move this head socket, it goes down. And I want it just so, if you look here, I just want the chest not to be visible. So let's go down. There we go. So there looks absolutely fine. Let me just double check. Yep. So let me open up our skeleton window again. And I just want to have a look at the exact numbers. I think I'm going to be exact with this, and I'm going to choose 1, 3, 7, like so, and then all I do is hit save. So now if we go back to our character, the head is now attached to the body. Now I haven't got any animations at present. I'm going to do that in a moment. But when we animate, the chest is going to poke through the clothing. So I am going to be dealing with that as well. And we're going to need Blender for that. But sometimes we can just simply edit the materials of our face character. And you will see this in other tutorials. We adjust the material for the face and we use opacity masks to just simply cut off the chest. Now that is going to be incredibly difficult, not impossible, but it could take me a long time to create an opacity mask that will line up exactly with this Daz body. So I'm going to do it another way, but we'll get to that anyway. So now what I want to do is I want to see how this animates. So I'm going to create an IK rig and retarget some animation. Now I already have lots of tutorials on how to do this, so there's no real further need for me to explain. I'm just going to create an IK rig and set that up very quickly, and we'll call this Rach version 3.